A man on a lever with the fulcrum just in the right place can lift the world. Wheelbarrow, that's a perfect example. By utilizing and understanding the principle of leverage minority, the hard left has systematically gained control. They completely understand it. They pick up 1 or 2 seats there, and it gives them that margin they need to be in power. We may bemoan the lack of civic knowledge, but why bother? It's not productive wailing over how people behave. It's our job to understand them and take advantage of present circumstances, not to curse the civic darkness that prevails. We can all sit here and tell stories about how none of our neighbors know anything, they're not involved, they're not engaged. It is what it is. It is what it is. Don't waste time worrying about that. Spend time, invest a little bit of time in making a difference, because it doesn't take that many people. If only a minority of voters cast ballots for the lower offices, this is key. And this is why the Chico experience with that knucklehead supervisor is so important. If only a majority of voters cast ballots for the lower offices, then let's light a candle, if you're Catholic. Make sure the majority of these minority votes are for the good guys. The leftists have understood this phenomenon, exploited it, and elected a lot of their own kind. There's nothing denying us the same opportunity. Instead of damning the public, we should give them moral leadership, which is exactly what the Tea Party movement is doing, and they are just not putting up with any criticism that the left is giving them. And that's exactly what they need to do. The minute they start to defend position, I think that in the vast majority of cases, the criticism that the Tea Party is racist, you and I know that that is a bunch of sheep did. You know, that's so far from the truth, but they're throwing it out. And the minute everybody starts to defend that, you get to the position, well, I really don't beat my wife. Or I don't think that the wetbacks coming over the border are you get in a bad place. We have the righteous position. We know what we are. And that criticism can go away if we don't push it back, if we don't engage. Others believe their one vote makes no ripples in the sea of politics. Sometimes it is not knowing enough about the candidates and not wanting to make a mistake. How many of us have thought that? Oh man, I don't know if I want to vote because I don't know who to vote for. And you folks are engaged. What about the other people who are not engaged and they have to make these decisions? Oh, am I going to make a mistake? Am I going to regret it? Maybe I should just let somebody else decide for me. They feel sufficiently informed about the top of the ticket, president and U.S. Senate, something like that, due to the extensive media coverage, but not enough about the lower offices. They leave the rest of the ballot hoping more informed voters will make the right choice for them. That's sad. Often, the voters turned off, disgusted by the negative ads from both parties, and use that as an excuse not to vote at all. A surprising number of citizens don't even register to vote for the same reason. Dirty politics, mudslinging. We hear that all the time. Do you know why mudslinging exists? Because it works. It works to influence people, or it works to influence people into not voting. When marking the ballot, many vote for the lesser offices only as an afterthought. Their attention focused on the presidential and gubernatorial candidates. In this case, they often split their ticket. That's a fact. For the lower offices, they accept the recommendations of their party, labor union, and friends, and are swayed by suggestions of the local media. This is particularly true in the absence of any other criteria when voting for the other offices. That's the only thing they know. They don't know how a city councilman stands on the water issues or the street sweepers or the crossing guards or any of the other issues, zoning, costs, or anything like that. They have no way of finding that out. They don't have the time to find out those things. So they don't. Absent of any other criteria, everyone has a pecking order as to what influences their vote or causes them to register to vote in the first place. What's the pecking order? It's the order of importance used in deciding who shall be chosen as their representatives. The pecking order varies with each individual, but many of them follow this. If they know the candidate, they'll vote for him. Even if they know him and they don't particularly like him. If they don't know the other one, at least they know the devil they're getting. Next one is their hot button issue. Is this person a supporter of their hot button, whatever it is that is their passion? Guns, family, church, homeschool, on low taxes, whatever. Next is party registration. Believe it or not, party registration is the third average deciding factor on how people vote on the lower offices. Fourth, ethnic considerations. It is what it is. You don't have a whole lot of people in Watts voting for a white person. Doesn't happen. In East LA, where I grew up, there aren't a lot of gringos that have been elected to the city council or the state assembly or anything from where I grew up. And if you didn't know, the term gringo comes from when the Mexicans used to sneak over to the American camps on the southern border, and the Americans used to sing by the campfire at night. Somehow they liked being out there in the middle of a war, and they would sing a song called Green Grow the Lilacs. And the Mexicans somehow turned that in, oh yeah, the gringos, you know, the gringos. Little trivia. Fifth, friends' recommendations. Friend says, this is a good person, vote for him. And last is the union affiliation or recommendation. The number one reason of importance is having a friendly relationship and access to an office holder. This can be, and usually is, the reason people are elected to small constituencies. For city council, board of supervisor, it's easy to get to know your representative. For you folks, it's easy to get to know your assemblymen, your state senators, because you're engaged. And typically, if they're a smart assemblyman or state senator, they're going to engage with people like you who want to be engaged with them. In which case, you have that relationship with them, you will vote for them, they will listen to you. They personally know a lot of the people in the community, and combined with the exceedingly low turnout of the vote for local elections, in absence of any organized opposition, the best known usually wins. The one, you know, the former high school track star or football player, you know, or everybody knows him. They might not know anything about his politics, but they know who he is, and so they usually win. Personal knowledge and friendship outweigh most other considerations, but personal acquaintance with the candidate constitutes a very small minority of the voters. It's just not possible for a candidate to know all of his constituents or all of his winners, his voters. With larger constituencies, such as a congressional district, which is about 600,000 people, the candidate can't possibly know everybody. With larger constituencies, the 4 M's come into play: money, management, manpower, and moxie. The last, the most important M, is knowing what to do and when to do it. A wise candidate will know what to do and when to do it. A knucklehead will not. And people will not vote for him. Once the voting habits of the district are carefully studied, an estimate can be made, because past election statistics tell a pretty good story of the approximate number of votes needed to win. Every district has voters who consistently cast their ballots. Amongst those are citizens who will change their vote if given a good reason. In other words, historically speaking, most districts produce a certain percentage of the vote all the time. If nationally or the state, if there's a higher voter turnout, the percentage grows proportionately to the rest of the state. But you can predict how many votes it takes to win. But those, when you identify those, you can actually influence those votes. The average voter feels little compunction to seek out a candidate's qualifications. It takes a lot of work to find out where they stand. What do they think about zoning, you know, the dog park 4 blocks away? Most wouldn't know where to begin anyway. They feel that the literature received, the TV ads, the recommendations of the local newspaper, the advice of friends, or party affiliation will suffice. Well, if he's a Republican, he's okay. How many of us know that that's not true?
You've got a governor.
Most Americans wait to be wooed.